What is up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Beyond the Diamond Podcast here on the Apollo Podcast Network. Brian, LaLima, ApolloDez here with you. Follow us on Twitter at BLima790, at ApolloDez1, and of course at ApolloHOU. Oh, and not to mention, producer Josh is back. Let's give it up. Let's give it up. Let's give it up. There he is. There he is. Just a couple of days ago, Dez and I were kicking it old school. We recorded it from our broom closets, our living rooms. We're back in studio. He's in one studio. I'm in another studio, but we went professional on everybody. We're going to dig into the Astros. Man, we've got Justin Verlander returning to the rotation on Friday as we record this on Thursday the 15th. Chas McCormick, Jeremy Pena playing better as of late. Yordan Alvarez, are his hands okay or are they not? Do we have a miscommunication between him and Dusty Baker? Chandler Rome reported some stuff last night, which was Wednesday. But let's start, Dez, with the Astros sweeping the shit-ass Tigers.
Yeah. The Lanners just send their regards. Have you seen Game of Thrones yet?
Brian? No.
That's what I felt like we were doing to AJ Hinch. Just right in the stomach to send a message, a sweep to end that series for the year. And honestly, it wasn't even stressful at all. I don't think there's one inning of stress. The guys look real good. Javier dealt yesterday. He's an absolute dude, an absolute weapon. The offense is stringing hits together. I mean, that's what you're supposed to do against teams like that. So you have the pesky Oakland A's coming in that seems to, play really good baseball against the Astros and not really good baseball anywhere else. So build off that, keep the streak going, and then at the end of the day, just keep winning series.
If you put Christian Javier on another team in Major League Baseball, let's take, for instance, if you put Christian Javier on the Angels right now, he is your bona fide number 2 behind Shohei Ohtani. And here with the Astros, he may not even be in the starting rotation come October. He's going to be a bullpen guy. It's just crazy to think that he's pitched pretty damn well this season. I know the record doesn't reflect that. I think he's 9-9, but the stuff that he has, and he's like the number 4 or 5 guy for the Astros right now?
6 guy, really.
Yeah, really, yeah. I mean, I think you can interchange him and Luis Garcia.
131 innings. A 2.87 ERA.
He's a number 2 for the Angels right now. He's a number 2 for a lot of teams in Major League Baseball. Yeah. You could even make a case that he could be a bona fide number 1 for some teams.
100%. I think the thing about Javier and Garcia and even Framber, that they took lumps last postseason. Yes, they each probably had one-off games where they looked really, really good. And, I mean, Framber and Garcia pretty much buckled down and won the CS. But the bumps and bruises they had during the World Series last year and some other games as well, I think it's only paid dividends for this team this year because it's not going to be something foreign to them. They're used to it now. They're used to the atmosphere. They're used to the sudden roars, the silence of the crowd. Like, that experience pitching-wise with the young arms is going to pay dividends for this year and next year, I think. And it all leads up to us winning another World Series, I think, this year because you have so many weapons. You have so many dudes. You have a Verlander, Framber, and Lance McCullers Jr. you're going to trot out. You have a Jose Urquidy who's won 10 World Series games. You and then move Javier and Garcia into the pen where they can just let it rip. Garcia's going to be sitting at 98 that he pitched against the Red Sox. And you're going to have Javier just unloading for 2 innings with that fastball. The games get really fucking short when you have those type of arms that aren't even in the rotation. There's bridge guys now. And your pin has been nailed since the little spinning of the wheels in mid-August. It's incredible. Pitching wins championships, and it's going to pay dividends this year. I really do believe that.
You look at last night's game, which was, again, we're recording this on Thursday. Last night's game was game 3 of the series against the Tigers on Wednesday. Christian Javier goes 6 innings. Then you bring in Brian Abreu, then Stanek in the 7th, then Presley in the 9th. So ideally, if you can get one of your starters to go 6 innings and then you bring in a mix of either Brian Abreu, Ryan Stanek, Ryan Presley, Hector Neris, or Rafael Montero, games are really, really, really short. And we know The tricky ALDS being 5 games, your rotation is a little bit different, and you move a lot of guys to the bullpen, like a Luis Garcia, like a Christian Javier. And then it comes to, what are you going to do with Hunter Brown? In what role will he serve? Will Phil Maton make the playoff roster? Will Will Smith make the playoff roster? Because the 5 guys I just named, Abreu, Presley, Stanek, Neris, and Montero, those guys are going to be there. This is rich people problems. Like, this is a good problem to have. Like, it's first world problems. That's what I was looking for. There are so many different weapons, and I know Will Smith hasn't pitched, that well this year combined with the Braves.
Bad.
And as of late, his last 3 appearances, he's been pretty good. And you never know. Like, when we went into last postseason, the big question mark was Phil Maton. Well, he didn't look very good when he first got to Houston, and then he turned it on and became a serial killer in the playoffs. We know firsthand what Will Smith can be in the back end of your bullpen, because he dominated in the World Series last year against the Astros. If you get that Will Smith in the playoffs, if he's on the playoff roster, look out. That is a nasty left-handed weapon to have out of the bullpen. So it's, again, rich people problems to have to try to figure out this rotation and this bullpen with guys like Hunter Brown, Maton, Will Smith. I mean, the list goes on and on. I mean, it's crazy, and how loaded this Astros team is when it comes to arms.
You're going to have guys left off the postseason roster that would start on pretty much every other playoff roster than maybe outside the Dodgers.
Right.
Because even like the Mets are loaded. They're really, really, really good. They need bullpen help. There's going to be bullpen arms that are just off the roster that would excel in there, and the Braves as well. So, it's a plethora of riches, and honestly, I think this is where the R&D department, and we can segue into the James Click stuff, but they're about to put a lot of hours in and to figure out what team they're going to play. They're going to have game plans for both. Obviously, we have the luxury of watching the 3 and 6 seed play a 3-game set before, and then we play the 3 and 6 if we're the number 1 seed. Producer Josh.
Yes, you play the winner of the 3rd seed and 6th seed game.
Yeah, it's 4 and 5. The number 2 seed would play the number 2 seed would play 3 and 6.
We play 4 and 5. Okay. Either way, the R&D department is about to put in the work and have a game plan for both, and that means you play one team, maybe Maton's on that roster, and Will Smith's out. And if you play another team, maybe Will Smith's on it and Maton's out. So it's gonna be really unique. I think Seth Martinez is another name that should be mentioned. I think he could play valuable innings in the postseason, but I don't know if he will, because his team is so deep. There's another arm that's just very, very talented. So shout out to R&D. Shout out to the front office, because they're about to put in a lot of work over the next 5 weeks. So let's talk a little Jimmy Click and Dusty Baker. Contracts are up. Chandler came out with a report. I think Breathing Astros Orange Fire on Twitter. Originally, he founded the Rosenthal podcast, where that name came up, that Click may be on the way out. And let's just dive into that.
Yeah, so with Chandler Rome, he reported last night. Obviously, Dusty Baker talks to the media before every game in the dugout for the pre-game media availability, and they asked the question about Yordan Alvarez. Is it a routine day off? And Dusty Baker said it wasn't, and that Alvarez was sore. Well, then Yordan Alvarez, after last night's game, which was Wednesday, requested to speak. I'm going to read the tweet from Chandler Rome. Yordan Alvarez requested to speak with the media after the game and said through an interpreter that his hands are not sore and he is fine to play. He was available off the bench today and was under the impression today was a scheduled day off. The question that Dusty Baker answered pregame that prompted the soreness response was, is this just a routine off day for Yordan? Baker went out of his way to say it wasn't and that Alvarez was sore. Alvarez said afterward he is not, contradicting his manager. Then there's another tweet where Chandler Rome tweeted out the rotation for this series against the A's. He lists the pitchers, and then he follows up and says, sorry, this had to be tweeted twice. Dusty Baker said 1 rotation, but we were informed shortly after that it was incorrect. Jose Urquidy is scheduled to start Saturday, not Luis Garcia. So is there something there, or is this, look, man, it's been well noted, I think, across this season that Dusty Baker and Chandler Rome do not like each other. They do not get along.
I think they're in love.
Chandler Rome tweets out his frustrations. He tweeted out some responses from Dusty Baker to Chandler Rome, and you can just tell that they don't like each other, which is fine. Which is fine. Look, you don't have to like each other personally. You have a professional relationship, whatever the case is. Is there something to make of it? Look, man, at the end of the day, I don't give a shit as long as you're winning. You continue to win. You don't have to like each other. And we know how the Astros clubhouse is. That is a solid group of dudes. That's a solid group of veterans that keep the young guys in line. They show them the way. Martin Maldonado, Justin Verlander, Bregman, Altuve, list goes on and on and on. They've been there, done that. They've had so much postseason experience that it's almost sickening to opposing. It is sickening to opposing fans. Okay. I don't know if there's anything there. There might be a small miscommunication between Dusty Baker and the front office with the rotation or with the hands. I personally think that they're going to manage Jordan's hands like he is sore, just to give him a couple of extra days off to rest his hands and to not swing a baseball bat because they need him fresh for October. I think we can all agree on that. But look, winning cures everything. If you're winning, who the hell cares? Like Chandler and the Chandler and the Dusty thing, right? I don't know. I don't know if there's anything to make of it.
Son buenos. Hands are good. Learned that on Rosetta Stone and Babel. Shout out Babel.
Must be Italian. Fragile.
Mas o menos. Yeah, I mean, I think there's a little miscommunication there, but look, I think Chandler and Dusty are in love, and they're quick back and forth. They're like Sleepless in Seattle. It's a 90s rom-com. We can string it all together. That's what we should do. Just do like a whole 90s rom-com like montage. And I think the thing is just it's about maintenance and getting the guys ready for October. And we've seen it time and time again. We saw it in 18. Altuve was beat to shit. We saw it last year with Breggy. He was beat to shit. And these guys, they've logged a lot of games and a lot of innings over the last half decade. People forget that. Like, we're playing into November every year. Everyone else is done in September. Like, we're playing 2 additional months for the last 6 years. That adds up. So getting the guys really healthy and dialed for October is the main goal. The West is wrapped up. The 1 seed is right there to punch and take into the end zone. So look, this winning cures all. We don't have to trot out the number 1 lineup every single night and get the death lineup out there. Who cares? Like, who cares? Get everyone dialed and ready. I want to see Christian Vasquez in there. He's going through a slump. Let's get him at bats. Let's get Diaz, who's back off the IL. Let's get him back some at bats. Let's keep Pena going. Let's get Chaz, keep him going. Let's get the Yuli's turning and rounding into form. So get these guys all the at bats and just steady maintenance. And if that's giving guys days off when they're not expecting it, so be it. I trust Dusty Baker, who's seen more baseball than anyone on the planet, pretty much. And he can get the pulse of it. And so maybe it's just a thing of miscommunication. Who cares? But at the end of the day, like, just get the guys their work in, go to the field. If you need a maintenance day, take the maintenance day.
Look, man, the Astros are 93-50 right now with 19 games to go. Is that, correct me on my math? Is that right, producer Josh?
Correct. 19 games to go.
Look at that. Just
damn,
flying.
Dude, that's that Sol Ross education, baby.
The Sol Ross State University. We got our asses kicked by Trinity or by Texas A&M Kingsville football, so we're looking to get back on the winning track. That's neither here nor there. But they're 93-50, 43 games above 500, and this is what we're sitting here talking about.
Anyways, let's talk about this.
Right, but I'm just
up.
Right, but I'm just saying, like, we're sitting here talking about a miscommunication, like it's like the Astros are 20 games under 500 or they're 1 game out of the wild card. Like, come on, people. Look, there might be a small communication. I don't give a fuck. If you're winning, good. Winning cures everything. Now on to James Click, Dusty Baker. Both of their contracts are up after this season. There was an SI article. Ken Rosenthal was on a podcast talking about Jim Crane being a demanding owner. And, look, Joe Espada is the manager waiting in the wings. I think if you are Jim Crane, you have to make a decision, regardless of how the Astros do this season. You have to make a decision. Do you bring back Dusty Baker, which I would be fine with, but then you take the chance of someone's going to scoop up Joe Espada to be their next manager. Aaron Boone, and you brought this up a couple episodes ago, or maybe we didn't do it on camera, but you and I talked about it. Joe Espada used to be with the Yankees. He was a third base coach at one point. Aaron Boone, his seat is on fire. I mean, red hot lava fire. His seat, if they limp into the playoffs and get beat in the first round, he's done. He is done for. Aaron Judge is not going to be a Yankee come next season. The dude's going to be the MVP. He's probably going to catch Roger Maris this season for 62 bombs. He's gone, in my opinion. Aaron Boone is going to be gone, in my opinion. They will try and go and hire Joe Espada. So if you are Jim Crane, you have to make that decision. Now with James Click, that's above my pay grade to talk about. I don't know what the contract situation is. He was on our show yesterday on Wednesday on the Sean Salisbury show, and he said that it's nothing he's thinking about. We're not discussing it. We're trying to put the team in the best position to win, and that's all our focus is right now. I don't know. I'm indifferent on that. I don't know. You bring back both of them, great. I think they've both done a fantastic job.
Yeah, it's I love Dusty, and I'm his champion. It's a weird life that we have, that we've been able to hang out with him and go to dinner with him and stuff like that. He's a great human being, great baseball mind, a Hall of Famer. It's a decision that Crane is going to have to make, and I think there's a precedent set with Brent Strom. You have Miller and Murphy, the pitching coaches last year, waiting to take that role. You have Brent Strom, who's been here. He's spun up pitchers. He puts his little fairy dust, and you're an all-star, and you're just winning all these games. And he retires, and then unretires, and then goes to the Diamondbacks. Kind of felt like, thank you for everything. Here's the door type situation. Because you can keep him. It's great. But he retires in 2 years, and Murphy and Miller are gone somewhere else. What do you have? I feel like that's happening again now with Dusty Baker. And he could stay here for another 2 years. We'd still probably win 100 games. We'd probably still be having these conversations on the same couch, talking about the Astros going to the pennant and playing for another World Series. But you have a Joe Espada, a young guy you could have for a very, very, very long time as your manager, waiting there. And if you don't turn that over to him, he's going somewhere else, and that's not good. Obviously, the coaching tree and all that, like, that's great optics. Like, look at all these coaches that came here and now they're coaches somewhere else. But you got to have a succession plan in place. And if you don't have a succession plan there, it's going to get a little weird really fast, because if, say, the Astros go to the World Series and they lose, what do you do? It's hard to fire a manager that took you to a World Series. But 2 years in a row. That's awkward. And so winning cures everything. Win it all. Hey, Dusty, there's your icing on the cake.
Yeah, if they win, does Dusty retire?
Yes. Right off into the sunset. Go back to your wine farm and pick all the berries and make all the wine you want.
Wine. He's so uncultured. Just wine farm.
He was a wine.
Wine is just grown out of the ground.
Yeah, I mean, you got to get
vineyard, dude.
Whatever, man. Wine farm.
Oh my god!
It's a winery. It's a vineyard. You're right. I just misspoke, brother. Relax, dude. What's in that coffee? Are we on a team, or do you want to go join the?
We're even.
Let me ask you a question. You and I had a really good talk the other night, and we discussed this. All right, this is the staple of Apollo HOU. This fucking podcast. All right, look at me, son. Look, you either make a decision right now. Are you on my team or am I on your team? No. Hold on. Is it you and I, or you want to go join the producers? Whose team? Whose team, Dez?
I'm on your team.
No, you're on our team, brother. It's not just me. It's our team.
You just said your team. Anyway,
can I be on your team?
No, you cannot. No, you're not.
You're not part of the inaugural team.
No. The second weekly inaugural team.
Inaugural, yes.
This is what we use as our preview clip right there, Josh. There, you asked us yesterday what the preview clip should be in the title. You just got it. Our team.
I think.
Anyways, I digress. It's a fucking vineyard. It's a vineyard. Sorry, God, what an idiot. That's a wine farm. What am I doing?
I think the big thing is that it's just awkward. Like you have to make a business decision.
That's what it's gonna. It's a pure business decision.
And the devil's advocate, Dusty Baker deserves to still be here. It just sucks that there's a guy that's young and knows how to coach baseball and been waiting to be. I don't know if he would have been the guy and post scandal with Hinch leaving. I don't know. Maybe Espada wasn't that guy yet, but he's that guy now. And I think Dusty Baker was the perfect thing to guide this ship through the alleged scandal that was happening throughout the entire league. So it's just awkward. The James Click thing, I feel like that's above our pay grade.
It's hard to speculate on because the Astros are playing so well.
But also, I would also say this. It's very much still Lunau's fingerprints all over the organization. And so it's tough. It's like Barry Switzer taking over Jimmy Johnson. Yeah, Barry Switzer won a Super Bowl with the Cowboys, but like that was Jimmy Johnson's team.
Right.
Like, so like it's hard to grade Jimmy Click in a sphere because one, it's going against Lunau, but two, he hasn't made very like drastic bad decisions. He's made some good decisions, a lot of good maintenance calls for this team. And I think that's what you got to do when you have a just Death Star of a team just ready to go. Just maintain it. Just keep the boat going. Keep everyone going the same direction. And
the
is that good enough?
The thought is he drafted really well this year too.
Yeah, he has. And so like, and he's got more R&D people in there. He's got all the scouts back that Luno got rid of. Like he's done a lot of good maintenance things that you build to get your franchise back after everything. But is that a ceiling? Is that what Crane's thing is? Like, hey, this guy was just a good maintenance guy, and he's did everything that I needed him to do, and now I can go make a big splash and get it. But who's out there?
I think the only way Crane says bye to Click is if he already has somebody in mind that he has waiting in the league.
I would be very
get rid of somebody like Click, like you said, who's a very good maintenance guy if you don't already have a better option in mind.
Right. Yeah. And I would be very interested to hear the candidates to come in and take over. Do you promote within internally? I mean,
it's a weird move, like some logistics guy for a company.
Right. Like who do you know?
No. There's who's the assistant GM? The one that was getting calls from the Mets this past year. That guy's a stud. He was with Lunau.
Pete Patilla.
That guy. He's a real deal. But then again, look, billionaires don't become billionaires without some very, very high risk, high reward decisions. So, it's something that I know on the show you guys have him every Wednesday, and I'm glad you guys brought it up. But that was coaches speak, right? Like I'm not.
Yeah, I mean we knew
that's got to be there. That's got to
right.
be on the back of his line.
Yeah, we kind of knew the answer we were going to get, which, I mean, in reality, it's the right answer to say because you really are focused on nothing but trying to get back to the World Series with October looming. And, one thing that you brought up, Des, was Brent Strom. People were worried about getting rid of Brent Strom and if Josh Miller could handle it. What's the other one? Other pitching coach, Murphy. Josh Miller and who?
Murphy, that's
right. So if you look at the pitching statistics for the Astros, you have a 16-game winner, a 15-game winner, a 13-game winner, and a 12-game winner, and then Christian Javier at 9 wins.
And number one pin.
And you've got two guys that are going to get Cy Young considerations, one probably going to win it. You have a team ERA of 2.93 and a team whip of 1.10. Ks per 9 throughout the entire staff, that starting rotation and bullpen, 9.3. So Josh Miller and Murphy have done a hell of a job. And you also have to give credit to Martin Maldonado. I don't give a shit what anybody says about his production offensively. What he's done with his pitching staff is nothing short than phenomenal. So,
you know who's a name I just thought of
for GM or for manager?
Manager.
Who?
In the scenario that Dusty Baker stays, let's say he has 2 more years, a spot is gone, right? If Dusty stays, the spot goes. You know who I think becomes the bench coach and then the future coach in waiting?
Reggie Jackson.
Omar Lopez.
Oh, Lopez. Yeah. Lopez. Who is he? He's managing a World Baseball Classic team.
Yeah, he managed a lot of these guys in the minors. He's getting his licks as the position coach on first and third.
He sounds every time I hear him in an interview, he knows what he's talking about.
I don't think he's ready like next year, like Omar Lopez,
right.
like the head coach. Like, but if you made a decision to keep Dusty, he's that next guy that comes in the spot and goes.
Dusty mentors him.
Yeah. So that really just came to me. Also, I think floating this news out is what a billionaire does. Like, hey, let me get a pulse on what people think. Hey, hey Ken. None of my GM and my manager, they don't have a contract next year. So, just float something. Like,
slipped a little sticky.
Yeah, a little Game of Thrones action, little Cersei play, So like just float it out there, see what everyone's reactions are, okay, and then make a decision.
Brian got that reference.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just gonna be
that's my second Game of Thrones reference.
It's gonna be real dependent on how the Astros do in the playoffs.
Yeah.
I mean, again, you have to, like I said, if you're Jim Crane, you have to make a decision what you want to do with your manager after the season, regardless. I mean,
and Jim Crane also has that I don't give a fuck attitude. Like, like I'm gonna do me, and that's kind of cool too.
Yeah. Do you think so? Here's a question before we move on to another topic. Dusty Baker has caught a lot of criticism over his lineups all year long. Every single time the Astros social media team posts the lineup, Dusty Baker, like one dude this morning tried to tell us on the morning show that they should fire Dusty Baker today. Like 43 games over 500, they should fire Dusty Baker today. Like irrational shit like that. Do you think if AJ Hinch was here, because that's the name that always comes up, do you think if AJ Hinch was here right now as the manager and they were 43 games over 500 and he was putting out different lineups all the time, do you think he would catch the same type of flack that Dusty Baker is?
Probably not as much, but some. I think there's just irrational fanatics everywhere. But then again, Hinch got to trot out a lineup with a Springer and a Correa, like 2 guys that the R&D department and Dusty Baker are placing in the aggregate, like playing real money ball. Like, so I think that it's just, what's the point of winning all these games if you don't win in October? And I think keeping the guys healthy and fresh is a great recipe to have fresh legs in October. There's so many times that these guys across the league they're worn down, like because they played every single inning, they played every single game, and then when you come in October, you have this stretch of you're playing all these games in a row. And hell, this year's going to be even different, where you're playing like every other day you're playing. Like, you have to have fresh legs, and I think we're set up. Like, the Astros have an opportunity with this big ass lead that they've been able to hold off the entire year. Everyone's just been like, oh, when are the Astros, when is the Mariners going to catch them? When, blah, 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 blah. When are the Yankees going to catch them? The Astros have been able to maintain this lead, and I think this is going to pay dividends because you're going to roll out the death lineup every single day in October, and they're fresh. And it's not like they logged 162 games. They've each had days off. They've had different things. Honestly, you also can get really weird with decisions late in games where I'm, going to DH right here. I'm going to do a double switch here. I can do different things because these guys have been cross-training and played different spots in this lineup. So it's different. I think it's heavily criticized because it's the low-hanging fruit, but it doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, you hit the nail on the head with all of my thoughts as well. Last topic, let's talk about Jeremy Pena. October's right around the corner. He struggled. He was struggling with sliders. He's looked a little bit better at the plate, facing those sliders from right-handed pitching. the real test is right around the corner, and it's going to be October baseball. So I'm really excited to see what he brings to the table. Just Des, just kind of talk a little bit about what you've seen from Jeremy Pena over the last couple of weeks.
Astros are 32-5, and producer Josh told me about this yesterday. He's going to bring up the stats. Everyone knows he's been chasing the slider. The strikeouts are up. He's still like a 4.2 WAR in your rookie season, replacing Carlos Correa. You're essentially playing against the revisionist history of Carlos Correa every night. He goes 0 for 3. The Astros win by 5. Their fans are upset he was 0 for 3 because Carlos Correa would have went 3 for 3 that night. Like, what you've demanded from this guy, he's excelled. And he's been able to, and I say it time and time again, I'm a broken record. All these rookies that come up in the Astros organization, they don't have to be the guy. If you look at any other rookie across the league, the Adley Rushmans, the Julio Rodriguez, the other kids out of Baltimore, the Bobby Witts, all these different people that have came up, all these top prospects, the future relies on them to produce and produce now because they're the guy, they're the high prospect. The organization wants them to be able to be that high WAR guy. With the Astros, you have so many veterans, you have so many all-stars, MVPs, silver sluggers, gold gloves, that when you come up, you can just be you. And we saw it with Kyle Tucker. Like, Kyle Tucker, Breggs. The same thing with Pena. He just comes up, just be you. And we're seeing it. And I think this is the longest season he's ever played. All these games, it's accustomed to all the travel, everything like that. They had the report on sliders away. Hey, what do we do? Let's put him in the 2-hole. Hey, Pena, swing at the first fastball you fucking see. Let it fucking rip. Don't worry about getting to a 2-strike count because just swing out of your ass the first 2. And we're seeing success. And the protection behind him, you have a Jordan and you have a Breggs. When he was down in the 7-hole, what protection did he really have down there?
Right.
So I think he's rounding into form. I really do.
Yeah.
Real quick.
Yep.
Listen to this.
When he is behind in the count, his batting average is 172 with an OPS of 414 when he falls behind in the count. When he's ahead of the count, his batting average is 347 with a 1.020 OPS. So he's elite when he's ahead of the count. Whenever he falls or whenever he finally gets into a 2-0 count, if he gets into a 2-0 count to start the at-bat, he has a 1.105 OPS. Wow. So if he gets ahead of the count, he's elite. But once he falls behind, that's where he starts to falter.
Yeah.
Men lie, women lie, numbers don't.
Boom.
And hell, look what you do when you start Chas McCormick day in and day out. Kid rakes.
Yeah.
Start him.
Yeah.
He's your center fielder.
He's your center fielder going forward.
He's your center fielder. Let's not overthink it. If Verlander wants to do Bond out there, so be it. But every other day, Chas McCormick.
Yep.
Real quick.
Yeah.
Before we finish it out.
We need a real quick meter for Josh.
Real quick.
2, 3.
Little quiz. Who on the Astros going by ERA plus, which is a good way to measure.
God, I love ERA plus
being elite. Who has the highest ERA plus of the Astros pitching staff?
You want a high number?
Yes, it's like OPS plus, where 100 is average, and then like everything above that.
Carry the 1.
I mean, just basically guessing who's been the most elite every time they're on the mound.
It's got to be Framber.
Is it? Okay, hang on. Is it?
I feel this is a trap. I feel like Josh.
Is it Christian Javier?
I think it's Javier. But I want to say Framber, but I'll go. No, I'll go Framber.
Is it Christian Javier?
It's Ryan Stanek.
Friend of the program.
347 ERA plus. The next person is JV with a 210.
I mean, I figured Justin Verlander was going to be up there, but I thought it was one of those tricky questions where, we think it's either Framber or Justin Verlander, but it's a guy like Christian Javier or Blake Taylor.
Ryan Stanek has a 1.12 ERA. He's just been just quietly elite all
his
season.
His ERA is lower than his whip.
Yeah.
Hey, Brian Abreu actually showed that he was human last night and gave up his first run since like July 13th or 16th or whatever. July 13th.
We jinxed them.
Well, what I was about to say was after Justin Verlander at 210, Brian Abreu is third on the pitching staff with 196 ERA plus. Third best pitcher on the team by that metric.
Wow. God, I love ERA plus.
Me too. Big grit plus guy as well.
Yeah. Big X-Ligma percentage.
You think Stanley will let us get on the parade bus with him?
I hope. God, dude.
Like, I don't want to be on parade bus 1 or 2. I understand that. But like bus 4 or 5?
Dude, you put me on any bus in that parade, and I am blackout drunk by 8:30 in the morning.
Oh, before the parade even starts, I'm blitzed. Like
you're gonna fall off the bus at Texas State.
I am catching every beer thrown my way, and I am Stone Cold Steve Austining it and knocking him down. I'm shotgunning. I am drinking. You could throw a Pabst Blue Ribbon my way. You could what are those remember that commercial? You remember that commercial? Oh, okay, or a little Crawford. Oh, whoa, nice. Like it. Love Crawford Bach. Love Carbach beers. Little Love Street. What's that? You could throw me a Red Stripe. You could toss me a nasty ass Red Stripe, a Guinness, and I'm chugging a house in it.
Your house in a Guinness?
Yes.
Look, I'm just saying, like, maybe like the last bus, like the bus that no one even cares about because people are already headed to City Hall.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, let's throw us back there. I mean,
That's fine.
Just out of sight, out of mind. Just guys being dudes,
but repping it. H-Town versus everyone shirts. Housing beers.
We'll just be we'll be t-shirt tossing the whole time.
Could you imagine a little bro in a World Series parade?
I don't think we're getting a lot of invites, so I don't see that scenario.
Sorry. I'm sorry, little bro. You're not making the bus.
What if we had our own bus?
Can we just follow behind the parade in our own bus? Can we rent our own bus and follow behind?
Yeah, hopefully we get our invite accepted into the parade to put our bus there.
We just follow in.
Why don't we ride in either Dez's Impala or my 1998 or my 1998 Toyota Camry with Dez through the sunroof?
Dude, can I have we'll talk to the internet, but moment of trust here. We went to the gala, right? And it was at a high-end place. And I'm driving that 97 beat to shit Impala, and I called my dad. I was like, yo, he's got a brand new Tahoe. And I was like, this is what we're doing. I cannot show up to this event where I have to like hit the top of the car to get the AC going. I can't show up to the event in this Impala.
You should have.
I need the Tahoe.
You should have. You like open the door, it creaks, and you toss your keys to valet and don't scratch it, bud.
Yeah. So thanks, shout out Pops for letting me take the Tahoe that night because it was we're gonna have to make a real quick business decision of what we're gonna do if we had to drive the Impala.
I'm about it.
But fuck it, let's do it. World Series, I'll drive the Impala.
All right, that's gonna do it for another episode, boys. It's in the books. Hey, Josh, producer Josh, thanks for coming back today. Proud of you. Welcome back. Another one.
Also, shout out Roberto Clemente Day. Best day in sports. We're in 21.
Nice. Roberto Clemente. Well, that's going to do it. We'll be back, in a couple days. Astros taking on the Athletics this weekend here Thursday. Lance McCullers on the mound. Verlander back in the rotation Friday. I think we'll record after that series, right?
Yeah, Sunday night or Monday. I don't know yet.
Okay.
But 2 episodes a week. Baby.
Yep. We're grinding, baby. We're back 2 days a week. You'll hear from us here on Beyond the Diamond.
We're prime PTP, baby. Prime time players.
That's going to do it. You got anything before we get out of here?
No, just also everyone listening, if you have an opinion on Dog of the Week of who you want to be nominated for the inaugural Dog of the Week, let us know. Tag us.
Sounds good.
Peace.
Dog of the Week next week. We're getting out of here. Thanks for tuning in.